Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Dutzman, and I am the host of Thursday Night Token Talk. I'm joined by Rob Kalajian of Upon's Perspective, and I am the host of Engaged Family Gaming. We come together on Thursday nights when we don't have other shenanigans going on to talk about board games. Rob, we started this. It was magical, and then you decided to blow me off to go to Ohio.
I did.
Explain yourself.
My two oldest were in the Oak National Choir concert, which this year was held in Columbus, Ohio, in the convention center that Origins is hosted in. And it was actually my first time to that convention center and to Columbus, since I've never been to Origins. And it is wicked awesome. It was really cool in Ohio. I really liked it there. It was like a week long of rehearsals, and me and my wife and a couple of our friends whose kids went to just like fool around in Ohio while the kids were rehearsing. And then the concert was Saturday night, and we spent like 13 hours in the car driving home on Sunday. It's fun.
13 hours in the car driving home on Sunday does not sound fun. But
it wasn't too bad. We started listening to Dragonlance novels. So we started with Dragons of Autumn Twilight. So I've read most of them, but my wife has not. So we were listening to that on the way home.
All right, I guess that makes up for it. There's dwarves in Dragonlance, so
there is.
There's lots of them. So and then I decided to take a week off, and went off to the frozen north. Not really the frozen north, but I went off to PAX East in Boston, and you know what? It sure was a PAX East. It sure was.
I bet it was.
It was a PAX East. I had a panel that was the audio of which was recorded and will be going live as an episode of Engage, a family gaming podcast, tomorrow. Fair warning to everybody, it's a little echoey, but the man behind the curtain is trying to fix it. But I played some games. I met some folks. I actually got my first chance to play Hero Realms.
Oh, really? You hadn't played before?
I had not. And I liked it so much that they sent me home with it. They were very nice. So thank you to White Wizard Games. And I met Katie from Katie's Game Corner.
That's awesome.
Who is super rad. She and I had a nice long conversation. I like to think that I brightened and made up for some of the United States flaws. That's what I like to. I'm going to pretend that. So, and what else did I do? I met with our boy Marshall over at Leader Games, and he sent me home with Vast. By the way, Vast is vast. There is much shenanigans in that box. Hey, shout out to everybody listening. I know we just got a bunch of likes. I don't know who that was for, possibly because we were shouting out to a content creator that everyone likes much more than the two of us, and rightfully so. I played a bunch of video. Primarily, my experience at PAX East is video game related. I mean, those were the two board games that I really kind of got to sink my teeth into. Oh, wait a minute. Not true. I played Quacks of Quedlinburg with North Star.
Quacks of Quedlinburg?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of it.
What? It's all over.
No, I have not heard of it.
All right, let me paint you a picture. Let's talk about Quacks of Quedlinburg from North Star Games. So, Quacks, as I will refer to it because I don't want to say Quedlinburg anymore, and it might not even be exactly what it is, but it's from North Star Game. It won the Kenner Spiel des Jahres.
Really?
Yes. And I understand why. So, basically, you are a quack. Basically a fraud, a snake oil salesman, as it were, and you are making magical potions and selling them. That's your bit. You make magical potions, and by magical potions, I'm going to use the air quotes because they are definitely not magical potions, right? And so the idea is, you will bring up this board. Every player has a board, right? And it is a cauldron that has a spiral of like bubble-shaped tiles in it, right? Not tiles, but like spaces for tiles, right? And it's in a spiral. And so we're just getting all sorts of reacts up in here. I don't know. It's just crazy. And so you are it's a bag building game, more or less, right? Like you have tiles that are in your bag. Some are good, some are bad. And so you are taking turn. You're actually not taking turns. This is all done simultaneously. You're pulling stuff out of the bag and placing it down on the appropriate spots for the spiral, and slowly building it out and earning points. There are white like bubbles. Once you total up to 7 white, your potion explodes. So you don't want to do that. You want to stay below. You want it to be 7 or less. And so, there's like that push your luck element of, okay, I know that I'm at 6, and I have a certain number of 2s in the white spaces. Do I want to reach in and grab that? Because maybe I'll grab another component. You got to play that risk thing. And the idea is, once you have completed your potion, you can then sell it. That gives you money, and then you can go to the ingredients area and maybe you buy a grasshopper, or maybe you buy a pumpkin, or something like that. And the idea is the other things that you buy have superpowers, more or less, that make it so maybe you add points, or, whatever. And eventually you can make bigger and cooler and more badass potions. It's a 9-day festival, so it's played out over like 9 turns. Very cool. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I talked to them. The last games in North America were at PAX, and they sold out of them, to my understanding. Hi, Kate. Yes, I agree. It is very cool. And Evan does like superpowers. Of course Evan Hunt likes superpowers. He's the guy that makes Origins. Hey, look, we got Origins here. We got an Origin sighting. Wait, is Origins the word of the week? Are we supposed to be like Pee Wee Herman and just be like, ah! So, anyway, Quacks.
So I have a question about Quacks.
Quacks, all right, what's your question?
So you mentioned a bag. Now, do you just handle your own bag, or is it a communal bag?
Has their own bag.
Everybody
has their own bag.
So everybody just handles their own bag. They just firmly handle their bag.
Everyone has a bag that has components in it, and yes,
yeah, I agree.
They only, yeah, I see what you're getting. I'm picking up what you're putting down. This is
don't pick up my bag.
Hopefully you didn't put it down. So it is actually pretty rad. I did not complete a full game because it was a demo, but we played through like 3 or 4 turns. I got the gist of it. I really appreciate how it's simple in that, while you're taking turns, you don't have to wait for anybody else. You're doing your own thing, and you kind of go until it's time to stop, and then everybody just kind of sits there and plays chicken. You can kind of evaluate the table and decide, and then everybody does like the Munchkin thing where you kind of like knock on the table and go, okay, I'm done, and then you move to the next day. It's very simple. Yeah, we smell what the rock. Yeah, so Kate Davis smells what the rock is cooking. We're gonna leave that right there because anytime we can quote the rock.
That's it.
So basically, the last games in North America were at PAX and they sold out, to my understanding. So I have to wait until one gets off the boat, and then they will send me one. I cannot wait. Because it is a fun game. And what's weird is it doesn't look like a North Star Games game. If that makes sense. Like, when I think of North Star, realistically, I think of Evolution, and I think of Happy Planet, right? So you think like Happy Salmon or Funky Chicken, or you think Evolution. And this is a little bit different, but I think it's just it's pretty perfect, and they have a new expansion coming soon, which is witches, and so they are. And what's really neat about it is it increases up to a 5th player and adds a bunch more kind of stuff, and like new components and things like that. I'm a fan. I think it's a really cool game. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I also did a little bit of a demo of Oceans, which is on Kickstarter right now. It's doing very well. Oceans is cool, man. It's Evolution with superpowers.
And we know that Evan likes superpowers.
And we do know that Evan likes superpowers because he made Origins. Anyway, here is what Oceans made me think. You know what North Star Games needs to do? They need to go get the license and make an X-Men game. Tell me, I mean, we've all played it. We've played Evolution.
Yeah.
Tell me that would not work. You're making your hero.
That would work perfectly. That would work absolutely perfectly. And I wonder if they have thought about that and tried yet.
I don't know. But I bet you that license is really hard to get.
I don't know. It seems everybody's got X-Men games.
Well, I mean, there's an X-Men Munchkin game, but that's Steve Jackson. They can kind of do whatever they want.
There's a Marvel Flux coming out, I believe.
Again, that's Flux. They can do whatever they want.
USAopoly has Marvel.
Yeah, but again, USAopoly is USA. So you're right. It's not impossible. So yeah, I mean, those were the games that I really got to sit down and play. At PAX East, it was a good show. It didn't really, nothing really blew the roof off my doors. You know what I mean? Like, I went, I enjoyed myself. I made some really good connections, met some folks. But even the video games, like, nothing really, I didn't freak out about anything. I mean, there's more Shovel Knight coming, stuff like that. All things that I'll talk about on my video game podcast. But the big highlight, and there's the Marvel, Kate talked about this. She mentions the Marvel Deck Builder Legendary. But it feels like that company has like something for everything. Don't they have like a Firefly version of that for some unknown reason?
Yeah. They also have like Alien and Predator, and they can be mixed.
Because of course they can. I think the Firefly one's a little bit much, but my opinion.
I heard the art in that is very horsey though. Like,
huh?
I heard it's terrible.
Oh, the art in Firefly?
In the Firefly Legendary, it's supposedly horrendous.
I mean, maybe that fits. So I am on record as saying that both my two opinions are: I do not believe that it was given a fair shake, but I also think it's overrated. But that's okay. We don't have to fight about Firefly. So yeah, I mean, it was fun. Right, like it was a good show. It was not as crazy as it could have been. I mean, if they actually had Borderlands 3 stuff to show, it would have been absolutely insane. But they did not do that. So the other thing I did is I learned how to play the Transformers game, the Transformers collectible card game.
Awesome.
And I think
it's good, right?
Huh?
It's good, right?
I definitely agree. I think it is great. You know what? I don't think that I like it as much as Magic. But I think part of that is just familiarity and nostalgia. But I think as far as like of competent, well-designed collectible card game that 100% has legs, like 100% has legs, like this is going to go for a while, I think. I absolutely agree.
Well, there's a few things. So when I talked to the people at PAX Unplugged, I mean, this was not made to be Magic. This was really made to be a CCG for younger kids that people our age who are now the parents of those kids could really get into with that kind of G1 atmosphere. And what's really cool is because Hasbro owns Transformers and Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, they're melding this together. They have this catalog of art, but they also have permission to create some new art, which you'll see in some of the sets. But it's very, very simple rules. But and we were talking about this before we went live. It's all about the deck. It's all about making the deck work for the Transformers that you have out. And I really, really enjoy it.
Me too. I went to Hawkwood, Game Cafe in Milford. They had they actually had a teaching day run by a guy named TCG Top Deck is the name of the website, and It is, and so he actually had 9, 10 decks he taught us. The fun thing is I actually went there with Evan, my oldest, and my mom. And
awesome.
So the first thing he did was the other people that were there were people that knew the game already, but were just there to kind of have the experience, meet some other Transformers players, that kind of thing. So his first teaching was teaching my mom how to play the game.
That's great.
Once he kind of gave me some the rundown, I knew how to play because it is not dissimilar to other games. But he totally taught my mom how to play, and it was great. And so the fun thing about my mom, and I think everybody knows somebody like this, but she tries to make everything into a co-op game. It doesn't matter what it is. She'd be like, Risk? Sure, let's play this cooperatively. You know what I mean? And when we sat down, I was like, okay, Mom, I just want to let you know, as a joke, and this is, where this is going to go. I was like, Mom, I just want to let you know, this is a heads-up card combat game. There is no way we can play this cooperatively. And she was like, okay, honey. And then she smoked me. Just 1,000,000% smoked me. She was playing Bumblebee, Ratchet. No. Bumblebee. Who was the guy she had? She had Bumblebee. She had oh my god, Wheeljack, and Prowl. And I had Megatron and Starscream and a motorcycle, which I did not recognize. And so those were our three teams. And Wheeljack is really freaking good in that game. Who knew Wheeljack was this crazy DPS powerhouse? And she just smoked Megatron with Wheeljack. Just smoked him like a Christmas ham. And it was awesome. So I got my tail handed to me by my mom. Kate in the comments throwing out that her 11-year-old would probably love a Transformers TCG. You damn right she would. They are a pro Transformers household, and absolutely they would love that game. The art, everybody would appreciate the characters and the heroes. Every pack comes with a Transformer, which is kind of neat. It's a very fun game. And the secondary market's not crazy, so it's really not hard to buy into the game right now.
Well, and really one of the coolest Transformers you could probably get. Both of us just got.
Yeah.
Because it's its own deck. And you got yours you're nearby?
I need to get it. Hold on. I was trying to get my kids to get it. Hold on.
I didn't hear you.
Boy, get that card, Dick. Now that Steven's here, we can talk behind his back. We can't. Oh no! Here he comes. Here he comes. We have to stop talking about him now.
All right, are we ready?
Oh, hello, Steven. How are you?
What?
Nothing.
Are we ready?
Yes.
3.
Got it.
2. 1.
1.
1.
Bam. Oh, Devastator.
So,
yeah.
All right. So, to give a very brief rundown, I'll leave mine out because I don't have an amazing wooden DM screen. Although you're going to have to talk to that guy and convince him to make me one. I'll promote his stuff. I want one of those real bad. So you'll see if you look inside the box that you see how he's kind of like. Oh, this is a good way, right? See how he's kind of ridged. Basically, what the way that it works is in Magic, you have a full deck, 60 cards. There's creatures in the deck. In Transformers, you actually start with the Transformers in front of you, and you actually have a 40-card deck that just represents their equipment or the tactics that they use, etc. That's super distracting. Stop that. So you actually start with the Transformers out in front of you. In the base game, you just get you start with 25 stars worth of Transformers in front of you, and you proceed to play the game. In the newest expansion called Rise of the Combiners, or no, is it Combiner Wars?
No, I think it is Rise of the Combiners.
They added a new mechanic where there are Transformers that can combine, like, say, Devastator, because we know the Constructicons turn into Devastator. So what the idea is, they actually all start in bot mode. And if, at some point in the game, you have all of your Constructicons or whatever, all of the matching set, in vehicle mode, and you play a card called Constructicon Enigma, or Aerial Bot Enigma, or Stunticon Enigma, depending on which combiner you're trying to build, they all combine into one giant robot that has the stats. In this case, he has 6 attack, 33 health, and 2 armor, which is a lot. And a whole bunch of rules text. Like, he's big and does crazy shenanigans. Now, they can all fight on their own, but they typically don't. I mean, you have to a degree, until you turn into Devastator. It is super rad. I really love the way the combiners work. They look really awesome when you put them out on the field. So yeah, this is what we wanted. And right. I think that's a good segue to talk about one of the things that I really do like about this game is you don't necessarily need to buy boosters to play it, because they're really good about releasing boxed product. The first set, there was a starter set that had, a few simple things, but they also put out Metroplex,
which was awesome.
So there's just a box set Metroplex. It's a little late for me to get that from Hasbro, but I've seen it on sale at GameStop for like $20. And on eBay, there are lots of the common and uncommon Transformers. Like, if you just want to get some dudes to make some casual decks, for not much at all.
So unfortunately, the one card I want was a promo card for Slipstream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who is the female Seeker who was first introduced as a Starscream clone in Transformers Animated. And she's like $75 or more just for the one card. And it's
as
like,
with
nope.
any collectible card game. I mean, there's an Omega Supreme that you got if you bought a case or whatever.
Really?
And that's like a $110 card or whatever. Like, this is the thing, right? Like, as with any collectible card game, promo cards, things like that, those are going to be very expensive. I don't even know how much Jazz is. Let's take a look. To the eBay machine.
Is Jazz a promo?
No, but, I mean, he might be rare.
Well, so the cool thing about Transformers 2, though, is several of the more popular bots have a common, uncommon, and rare.
In fact,
they did that on purpose. So, like, every kid could have an Optimus and a Megatron and a Bumblebee. They might have the common version, but then there is a rare version that's more powerful. But it lets you get the bots that you're a fan of, and you're not just like, oh, I spent all this money on boosters to get this card that's impossible to get.
Ooh. Jazz is only $1 on eBay.
You should buy him. I'm going to go buy him.
You're going to buy all the Jazzes and not let me
all
get
the Jazzes.
I'm
gonna make a Jazz deck. I'm gonna call it Jazzy Jeff.
Ooh, there's a foil one for $2.99 right now.
$2.99.
$2.99. What? But he's really not that good, actually. So I would really be just kidding.
But it's Jazz.
It is, but it's Jazz. But that's what's awesome about it, right? Like, everybody's got their favorite Transformers, and they're all going to be in here eventually, because they released a set. They released another set in within the last month or so, and they've already announced Wave 3. So if you have a favorite Transformer, no matter how obscure that Transformer is, it's going to be a card eventually. And that's what's so awesome
They've
about
got the freaking UFO one.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Don't hate on the UFO. Wheelie is going to be one too, I'm sure.
No, I will buy every single Wheelie so I can burn them all.
You get Chip if I get Trip. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Because I kind of like Wheelie. Don't get mad. I like him. He's cool. So yeah, that's the Transformers card game. I really appreciate it. I think it's great for younger kids. I think what I really like about it is it doesn't really have complex board states to deal with, like in Magic or some of the other, like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. Like, at most, you got a couple Autobots, you got a couple Decepticons, roll with it. So I do dig that. So we got a Kickstarter of the week that we wanted to look at.
By the way, I just bought Jazz.
Did you just buy Jazz?
I just bought Jazz.
The one that was 99
$1.05. It came out and there was 6 cents tax.
Dude, there was only one of those. You just sniped Jazz from me.
There's gotta be another one.
We're working here. I decided not to buy it.
I'm working on buying Jazz.
Oh,
There's gotta be another one.
People, can you believe what I have to deal with? Okay, so while we're working, let's look at the Kickstarter of the week, shall we? It's Blume.
This is 9 available, by the way. There's 9 available.
All right, I guess I'm not as mad as I was. Okay,
right,
so
let's work.
This is Blume.
Blume.
This game has been kicking around a little bit. Wasn't it under a different name the first time I saw it?
No, I think it was.
Has it been Blume?
The first time I saw it, I think it's been Blume forever. I saw it before you did in a very, very early rough form where I played with Marshall. But I think it was still called Blume, or maybe it didn't even have a name back then. I don't remember. It was like a year and a half ago.
All right. So let's watch the Kickstarter video and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Here we go. Wow, that's loud. I love the 6 plus.
I love the kind of like that muted color artwork. It's fantastic.
Okay, that's it. The other part is just Kickstarter shenanigans. We all know how that works. So, Blume. It is, it's a tile laying game where you are building a flower garden. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. I'm actually, I would like to demonstrate to the audience that I'm actually quoted in this campaign.
I am not.
If it helps, I saw Marshall the day before the campaign went live, and he was like, "Hey, I know you promised me a quote for the campaign like a million years ago. Can you actually do that?" So I actually said one. It's easily one of the most beautiful games I've played, and it's absolutely true. I think this is such a pretty game. I mean, just look at that. Look at that. That's not not an inaccurate way of looking at kind of how your board state looks at towards the end of the game. It is super cool, and it's it's challenging, but it's accessible at a number of ages. It says 6 plus. It is not kidding. This is a game that even younger kids can play, which I think is awesome, dude. So
I'm really looking forward to this one. I mean, Marshall's a great guy and all, but he is, and I know he's not the designer of this one, but he knows good games. I know he's worked on this along with the designer. I'm really looking forward to it. It looks beautiful, like you said. I love the age range and the components. I love the flower market. I think that's awesome. So let's see. It's got 25 days to go, but man, this thing is already more than double funded. And it's another one of these Kickstarters where there's just 2 pledge levels. You get the game, or it's the retailer level. So you pay $29, you get the game, you get all the stretch goals. $29 is also a damn good price.
Yep, for this.
A damn good price.
It's outright theft. The other good news is Yanaguana Games, this is a pre-order at this point. The fact that it's funded, this is a pre-order. They have a good track record. They have delivered their games. They've delivered them on time. When do they expect it to be delivered? January of 2020. So if you think about it, here's what's terrifying. You see January 2020 and you're like, oh my God, that's forever. That is literally next January.
Yep.
How insane is that? Like, we're not even in the... Like, we're in the 20s again. Like, they can actually refer to it as the 20s.
That's crazy.
I think I'm...
So I will say, kind of on the tails of old school token talk, where I used to talk about Kickstarters and how good they look, Marshall does everything right here with animated GIFs, quick overview. He's got reviews and videos from trusted people. You've got Bebo, you've got yourself there. You've got Daniel Zayas. I mean, this is looking... It doesn't go on forever. It gives you the information you need. What?
I said, no, it doesn't go on forever. How great is that?
Oh, okay. I thought you said... Yeah, and that's the thing. It's concise. It gives you everything you need in a nice, beautiful, quick package, and it gives you one choice if you're a consumer. Just boom, $30. Done. And I think that is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the simplicity on that. So that's Blume. That's our Kickstarter of the week. I think the goal here, we're going to try and have like one of those every week where we like pick something that we care about or promote something that both of us are attached to for a review or more for previews for Kickstarters. So so that's something we'll be doing on the regular. So now that we've done our Kickstarter, so we've talked about some of the games we played, we talked about our Kickstarter of the week. Now we got to do our tabletop catch up because I know you play a bunch of games, and I am starting one, so I want to report on that. So how are your tabletop games going?
Well, haven't played a game in like a week and a half.
Well,
actually,
you've been busy.
I have been busy, but I brought a bag full of games with me to Ohio because we were going to have a lot of downtime, my wife and I, and we just found so much other really cool stuff to do in Columbus that we didn't even open the bag. I had like Dice Throne and Alice Matic Heroes and Azul and
I was talking about your tabletops. Your like tabletop RPGs.
Oh, that! I thought you meant like board games. No, that has been going well. So I am running a campaign with 10 kids. So 2 of my kids and a bunch of their friends. And we had a game right before we left for Ohio. And I broke out an old 42-inch LCD screen to lay out and put down battle maps with Fog of War. And the kids were just like, oh, they're super excited about it. I've got an adult game coming up with my wife and a few of my friends, not tomorrow, but next Friday. And as you can see, I've got a DM screen now to handle large games. Thank you to Board Geeks Gaming, who, for those who used to watch Token Talk, I used to have a different center panel and 2 side panels. Now I've got my custom Pun's Perspective panel, and I've got 4 side panels. So this gives me enough room just to put everything I need for 10 kids worth of D&D. So we've been running through Waterdeep Dragon Heist with them, and it is a blast. These kids get so excited. And they actually, all at level 2, managed to take down the Mind Flayer that they weren't supposed to kill in the first chapter. So now I have to figure out how to handle that. So they just swarmed it. There was actually 9 that day, but yeah, they just swarmed it and took. And that was, I scale up the battles, and they still. One of the kids is a Minotaur Blood Hunter, and he just deals the damage like crazy.
Blood Hunter.
So Blood Hunter
is that from?
That is a semi-official class that Matthew Mercer has designed, and it's up on D&D Beyond. And they use their blood to give themselves powers. So basically, like one of the earlier powers, you have to draw your own blood, you lose X amount of hit points, and it also takes your max hit points down for the rest of that day to like make your weapon, explode into flame. So they're kind of like, they're a tricky character because you are losing health, but you're gaining some power. They have some other really cool stuff too, but they can be wicked powerful.
Yeah, that sounds insane. Just to dial back just a little bit, Kate, friend of the show, said Blume sounds fun. She heard correctly. Blume is in fact fun. So I am. We are. This is what we actually have a date on the calendar. It is happening April 13th. My old LARP team is getting together. We are paying my oldest son to babysit because between all of us, we have way too many children. And so he will be watching them. And we're going to play Curse of Strahd. It is the Ravenloft 5th Ed campaign.
That's jumping in balls deep right there, too. I heard that's a serious campaign.
Yo, I've been reading it. Here's my biggest issue is that it's creepy as hell, yo.
Nice.
As one would expect because it's Ravenloft. So there's going to be 6 players. Kate says nice. It's going to be brutal. There's going to be some deaths, I'm sure. So the thing that's going to be difficult for me is that Strahd plays with his food. You know what I mean? I'm not a play with your food kind of guy. I'm like, if you're going to die, you got to die. But whatever. So I was, we're planning everything over Facebook Messenger, and I was like, so guys. So I started I bought it. The book came in. I was reading through it, and I was like, just an FYI. Y'all need multiple healers. That's all I'm just throwing it out there. Y'all need multiple healers.
I've heard out of the pre-released campaigns that Strahd is pretty much the most brutal.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. With that said, I mean, they're experienced players. I'm also, I am capable of rolling with the punches, and I really don't like TPKs, so I'm sure that they will never have to deal with that. But it is they're working out what characters they're going to play, and I'm like, don't be dumb.
Right.
Don't get cute. Make things that will work. And you're not going to make it through as a 6-man party with your healer as a bard. You're just not.
They need a straight-up cleric.
They need a cleric.
Especially in a campaign that is most likely going to contain lots of undead.
Well, here's the fun fact about it, is it actually really doesn't have as much as you might think.
Really?
I mean, it has enough that having a cleric that is really good at channeling its energy into destroying the undeads will be of value, but it's not required, if you know what I mean.
That's cool.
Because there's plenty of other shenanigans. There's angry wolves and stuff like that. I mean, there's plenty. The thing that's worth mentioning is the game is supposed to go from level 3 to 10. So this isn't one of those campaigns that takes you all the way up to 20 or anything like that. So, and what's really neat is, so it's from 3 to 10, but it actually starts with a mini adventure that's supposed to serve as, that is optional, and it's to serve as either a way to level up your party from 1 to 3, and serve as an introduction to the shenanigans and chicanery that is the Ravenloft campaign setting. And I gave them a vote. I listed out the various campaigns, and I was like, these are the ones that are available. Which ones do y'all want to do? And they chose that one.
Nice.
So it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I'm really looking forward to the Salt Marsh one, though.
Yes.
That is when we're done with Strahd. That's absolutely the next one that I'm doing with them. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to finally get the band back together and play. And all of us are kind of motivated this time. Now I know talk is cheap, but the fact that we have dates on the calendar and a babysitter certainly helps. But
that's
Strahd
some hardcore stuff right there.
Strahd is absolutely going to kick them in the teeth a lot. As I've been reading through, I'm halfway through reading the base adventure. You know how you got to read it a couple of times. I'm halfway through my initial read, and I'm just like, ooh, that encounter is going to be super messed up. I hope they don't roll that die, et cetera, et cetera. But I need one of those DM screens, so we're gonna have to talk to whoever that guy is.
Hey man, Board Geeks Gaming, and they'll do custom ones. And what's cool, like I said, this one's modular because these pieces are on stands. This one can go sideways, and actually it's on It's on a turntable, the middle one that I've got, which is kind of cool. So I needed a bigger screen, and they helped me. They helped me do that. And this thing is, and it's nice thick pieces. There's initiative tracker rails up here. There's three metal slats on each panel, so there's tons of space for magnets.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, basically, Kate's saying in the comments she hasn't played in Ravenloft in 20 years. Me either. But they basically just took it and redesigned it in 5th edition. I mean, flavor-wise, it is the same thing. You know, like, I'm sure there are some subtle differences. Obviously, that's how this works. But, you know, they modernized some of the writing. But Strahda's a mean dude. And he is an angry dude. So, yeah, that'll be kind of interesting, I think.
Sweet. I'm stoked you're getting back into it.
Me too. We are still working on, I mean, we're obviously still going to do our family campaigns. Those we're working on. I'm just trying to get caught up on the Starfinder rules. Specifically, I'm finding, I think I need to look up a YouTube video or something for the ship combat, because the ship combat is actually a little bit more complicated than I thought. And there are some very subtle differences between Starfinder and Dungeons & Dragons, etc., that I wanted to kind of pick up on. Like, I could have just kind of went with it, and if I can't really get it, then I'm just going to go with it and use it as a, you know, just be like, fine, we're basically playing Starfinder, but I'm just going to make up the rules as I go along. But I kind of want to get, they have a monster manual kind of book. I kind of want to get that. I'm just waiting to not have to spend $1 million on it.
My cousin Frank, who writes on A Pun's Perspective,
he's been covering a ton of that stuff.
They send him every single Starfinder book, not a PDF. Every single Starfinder book. He has a giant stack already. His queue to review is almost as long as mine, and it's mostly RPG stuff.
If he happens to have one of those, if he happens to have a spare monster manual that he's not going to use, and he wants to ship one over to me, I will gladly reimburse him for the shipping. Although I should probably just call Paizo and let them know that I'm working. I'll probably do that. So that is Tabletop Check-In. Obviously, we will be looking at that. There haven't been any significant announcements on either of those fronts in the last couple of weeks, that other than the new Salt Marshes.
Well, there's the Acquisitions Incorporated book.
Oh, that's true. They did announce the Acquisitions Incorporated book, which makes total sense. I mean,
it does. I'm interested in it mostly because it's a semi-official D&D project or a product, but other than that, I'm not super interested in it.
I think it's neat. I think it's cool how Wizards is kind of branching into some of that and supporting some of those live play podcasts and things like that. But really, you know, I'm more excited about the it will be hard for me to think of anything that would be better than the GM's Guide to Ravnica.
That is a great book.
Yeah.
Now the one thing I'm dying for, and I know it's still in the Unearthed Arcana, is I want psionics back in 5e.
It's gonna happen.
I think they're called mystics now.
Yeah, there's a thing. They're gonna bring it back.
I mean, it's there. It's in the Unearthed Arcana. It's just it's got to get tweaked and fixed, and it's got to come out because I want it. That's why. That's why it's
bring it back.
That, and they need an official Planescape book.
Have they said that they're not going to do that?
I don't think they are, because I think now the whole core of D&D is kind of the Planescape thing. You get stuff about Sigil in the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Sigil?
You get all the planes.
Is that actually how it's pronounced? I always thought it was Sigil.
I always thought it was Sigil, and I heard them pronounce it as Sigil on Dragon Talk.
Oh, okay. So maybe they're right. I'll take it. Kate, by the way.
I'll go either way.
Kate, by the way, I'm going to stick with Sigil, just because that's a word. Kate, by the way, threw in a heck yeah psionics.
Yes, psionics.
Listen, I'm all in. I mean, I love it. Great. I'd play one. I'm sure that they will. I think this is. I love the way that they're doing the books. I just kind of have to get caught up with some of the books that I did not get. So we'll pop back in next week for more tabletop check-in. But now I have a topic that I wanted to bring up that is a little out of left field. So indulge me for a minute, Rob. So I want to talk about GameStop.
But, Steven, isn't that video games?
That was like the worst support to my segue ever, but I'm going to take it because it was kind of funny. So, yes, GameStop is traditionally a video game retailer, but they do sell board games. Not very well, not very many, I am sure, but this is what I want to talk about. So, GameStop, as an institution, they just posted their worst annual loss in their company history. They lost almost $700 million last year. Now, they also noted in that report that they lost $700 million after they took into account that they sold their mobile phone company for $700 million.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, that means they lost more than $1 billion. That's with like a capital B, billion. That's a lot. So I was listening to a lot of podcasts and things like that this week where people are talking about, so is GameStop dead? Now, obviously not. Because number one, they didn't lose $1 billion. They only lost, $700 million because they did have that sale. Like, we can't pretend like that didn't happen just to make it worse. But they also they sold many billions of dollars worth of stuff. Like, they're still selling a lot of things. And you have to expect that some sales are going to go down. We're at the end of a console life cycle, so everything is down, right? Who's buying PlayStations right now? Especially when they know that a PlayStation 5 is coming out next year. Now, you might be saying, Steve, you said PlayStation, you said console life cycle. This is a board game podcast. What are you talking about? Okay, here's my thing. I think that the potential savior, or one of the potential saviors for GameStop, is if they took their board game business and rather than treating it as just a pile of junk that they put on a shelf, if they actually leaned into it and made it a real, true pillar of their business. That is my thesis. What do you think?
I agree. Like I said, we were talking before the stream. I think a slightly larger GameStop with some play space, and I think that would be awesome. Especially since there are GameStops everywhere, and granted, some are going to close, but I think that would be great. It'd be like a good mix of the friendly local game store and the online retailer.
So yeah, I mean, I'm with you. They obviously need to diversify. They did a great job by buying ThinkGeek, which has done great for them, right? Like they leaned into collectibles. They do the Funko Pops. I think I'm with you, right? Like, and I think we're kind of in agreement that board games, if curated correctly, especially if they had like a demo space or a play space where people could come in. I'm not saying that they need to turn into like your friendly neighborhood tabletop shop. I don't think that's possible. But I think they could make it an event. If they could make it more of an event, right? Like more of a a fun experience to kind of be there and experience video game or board games there. Maybe have more demos as opposed to, even if they had more demos as opposed to more, tournaments. I think that would be a cool experience. Also, GameStop has buying power. They have the strength they could have some cool exclusive versions of games. They could get exclusive expansions. And yeah, some people say exclusives are anti-consumer. And I'm not here to argue that. But like from a perspective of, I think board games could save GameStop.
Yeah.
And I mean it. Like, there's no reason they couldn't. I think that'd be a really interesting turn. But like an interesting turn of events, right? I also think they have to do some other stuff. Personally, I think they should stop selling used games. But that's an entirely different animal.
I cannot think of the last time I went to a GameStop to purchase a game.
Really?
I think the last time I went to a GameStop was to get a code card for a Pokemon special. To get a special Pokemon.
Yeah.
If I buy a video game, I get it from either Walmart, Target, Amazon, or a digital shop.
Okay. Huh.
Like GameStop to me is antiquated. I just don't go there anymore. They almost feel sad to go into, at least the ones around here. There's a lot of collectibles, not a lot of games, and generally the ones I've been to, very pushy staff. I don't like going into them.
Kate threw up a comment. Said we buy amiibos and exclusive figures there. That's it. Yeah, I mean, can't really argue with that too much. I go there. I mean, I went there originally, because I knew people there. Pre-ordering games is more or less
Useless?
Is no. My pre-ordering there, I disagree. Useless with that. It's layaway. And I really see a strong advantage to the fact that pre-ordering a game or a console with them is layaway. So, you go and you put $5 down on your game, and you can pay it down a little bit at a time. And I've been doing that for as long as EFG has been in existence. I have pre-orders down for the 2 Pokemon games, and every time I remember and have $10, I just stop in, put $5 on each one, and then walk away. And then,
that's interesting. I've never thought about doing that.
And then by the time the games come out, I have to pay $15 or whatever. So, Kate brings up a really good point. She avoids them. I'm presuming them in this case, meaning GameStop stores in general. But her issues with them is a long history of being treated like she is not a gamer. That I can't argue with. That is obviously an experience that I do not have. I certainly kind of recognize my privilege there. I mean, that is a problem when you've got, a retail staff.
My wife has run into that every time she has gone to a GameStop. But there have been times where a nice shirt has worked to her advantage when it comes to buying a game that is generally hard to get.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So my, friend of the show, on my on the Engagement Family Gaming podcast, Tila used to be, that's how I met her. She was my girl at GameStop. So I guess I have a different experience because my most, intimate experiences I don't mean it that way, experiences at GameStop were with a female manager and her mostly female staff. So I had a really, so I would imagine that they would have had a relatively positive experience. Kate had some more comments. She says, it's gotten better in the past 5 years, but it's so common. Our local isn't too bad. I think that's just one of those things, right? Like, not every place is bad, but every place is not great. Not every place is probably the worst. There is a spectrum of jerks. So, as a business, though, if GameStop goes away, people aren't going to be able to buy. There's a lot of video games that people just aren't going to be able to buy, and I really feel like they obviously want to survive, and I think board games could save them. I'd love to hear people's thoughts, so if you're watching, leave your comments below. Rob and I'll absolutely be looking at this video over the next couple of days and commenting on them. So, Rob, I think we did good work this week. We were supposed to be recording for a half hour, and here we are an hour later. We just like to talk about games.
We do. I like games. Games are fun.
You do. So why don't you tell the audience where they might find you?
So they can find me on the web at pawnsperspective.com and pretty much social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just search for Pawns Perspective. You will find me.
Yep. Fair enough. I am the founder of EngageFamilyGaming.com. This is one of many podcasts / videos that I do. To give you a quick rundown, I am the host of Engage, a family gaming podcast that comes out every Friday, alternating between video games and board games everywhere. I also am the sole host of the EFG Daily Commute, which is a podcast that comes out generally 3 times a week, and it's a 15-minute podcast that I record on my commute. I am also a co-host of Geeking with the Moms. I like to pretend like it's told from my perspective, because it's me and 2 moms, and I am geeking with them. So it's in first-person Steve. And we talk about all sorts of nerd stuff. Specifically, we're getting ready for Game of Thrones. I am on record as saying that I despise Game of Thrones, but they're making me watch the last season. So get ready for some hot takes, folks. I also do a live show on this here Facebook page called the EFG Show on Wednesday, and that is where I talk about the relevant current video game news with my 6-year-old daughter. And I tell jokes to her with a puppet.
Nice.
It's not even a joke. I have a puppet that is a piranha plant, and he tells jokes. And then he comes and gets me. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then we talk about gaming news. I thought yesterday about getting her opinion on Borderlands 3, and then my wife told me that was a bad idea, and so I didn't do it.
That is a bad idea.
It was a terrible idea, but I still thought about it. It would have been funny to a degree. I was very much examining the trailer to see if there was anything inappropriate for her.
You should get her thoughts on the Mortal Kombat 3 trailer. Or not 3, oh my god. Mortal Kombat 3. 11. 3 was long time
3
ago.
was when we were children. So that was a very long time ago. So yeah, I do a lot of podcasts is really what I'm getting at, folks. But this is one of my favorite. And that has been an episode of Token Talk on Thursday nights with Rob and Steve.
Hey, Steven.
What?
If you want one of these awesome DM screens,
oh yeah,
or other fine handmade wooden products from Board Geeks Gaming, you can go to their Etsy shop, which I will link in the show notes, and use the code PAWN10 for 10% off anything in their store.
I can? All right, well, I'll certainly look into that. So, folks, I hope you guys have a great day. We will see you next Thursday at approximately this bat channel and this bat time. And until then, I'm going to tell you to get your family game on. Rob is probably going to use some other catchphrase.
I'm going to say...
You're going to say you're welcome at my table. Jeez, I set you up so perfectly.
No, I wasn't going to do it tonight.
Oh.
I was just going to stare at the camera. No, as always, you are welcome at my table.
Peace, everybody. We're going to dance out.